everyone. So we're just going to do an introduction to Wendy Ann Preston. So anybody who's been watching us on Facebook Live over the last few months, in fact since we very first started Facebook Live, Wendy has been a follower since day one, I think, isn't it? Yeah, so yeah, you did, because we were talking about that today. Yes. You watched the very first episode. So the reason I say her name out, Wendy Ann Preston, is that she used to be Wendy Lowther and got married a couple of months ago and changed her name and got it all cocked up on Facebook and was now Preston and Wendy. Something like that. But we've resolved that tonight. So Wendy, it's no good, we've got to get this right. So anyhow, I invited Wendy to the Sugar and Crumbs kitchen, and she was a bag of nerves at first, because being invited into the kitchen makes everyone nervous. It makes me nervous every week as well. But I asked Wendy to come along and make something with our sugars and cocoa powders. So tonight, Wendy is actually going to bake a cake for you live and show you how to use our cocoa powders in a cake mix. And then she's already pre-baked a cake this afternoon here in the kitchen, and she's actually going to decorate it. It's going to be a gravity cake. It's going to be a gravity cake using Maltesers and aero balls. Bubbles. Okay, bubbles, is that what it's called? And balls. Well, that's the sound of balls. So that's what she's going to make today. And then just so that when Wendy's busy with things, I'm actually going to make a dome cake. So if John just pops over here, okay, you've seen these dome cakes before. They're well and truly well travelled, okay. So we've got a blue dome cake which has 5 nozzles in the set, and we've got a pink dome cake which has 6 nozzles. The only difference here, there are different nozzles in each set, but the reason this has got 6, it's got this little drop flower nozzle in, and the blue one hasn't. So I'm actually going to make this today because a lady has asked me if I would make it, and for the life of me I can't remember her name, but I will shout out her name in a minute when I go and look at my phone. But I'm going to make this one, and I'm going to make it in lilac, so a darker purple and a lilac colour. So I hope that you all enjoy watching me make that. And then just to recap, okay, I told you last week that the Great British Bake Off is going to be here, so I knew before you guys, but it's going to be on Tuesday. So Tuesday the 29th, is that, John? Yep. I think it's Tuesday the 29th, anyhow. Or Tuesday. Next Tuesday, anyhow. Or is that the 30th? Can't remember. Anyhow, so we've decided to keep the sale on until the end of August. So all of you who are doing the Great British Bake Off, the sale is still on. So remember, these bags are down from, these are the 5 kilo bags. These are down from £27.95 to £22. These are 2.5 kilos are down from £14.95 to £11. You've got your icing sugars. Remember, there's 36 bags of icing sugars. 36 bags. There's 36 flavours of icing sugars. So you've got your blueberries. You've got your pink lemonade. You've got, what we've got, I can't think of them all now, but anyhow, there's loads of them. There's your bubblegum, there's peach Bellini, your pina colada. You can buy them in bundles, so you can buy them separately from £3.49 down to £2.49, or we've got set bundles on the website that make it even cheaper, which means you get 5 bags for £12, but they do come in the set. The 100 roll piping bags are back in stock, okay, they're 99 for 100, and our corn flour pouch. £9.99. What did I say? 99. Oh, did I? Well, if anyone wants to pay £99, I'll be more than happy. So, and then we've got our corn flour pouches in stock. These are 100 gram corn flour pouches. Look at these, they're lovely and big. Okay, these are made in the Sugar and Crumbs warehouse. And we've put our new fancy labels on, so I hope you like those. And they're £2.75, so they're fabulous. So I'm going to get John tonight. John has promised that he is going to do some shout outs, because we never know who's here, and you know what it's like. I can't see anything because I'm this side of the camera. John's the other side of the camera, and he's promised me faithfully that he will do some shout outs tonight. And Maria's laughing because John's saying no. So come on, John, start shouting out. Who's joined us tonight, who we know?
We have Lindsay McIver.
Hello, Lindsay.
Anne Viana, Amy Denny, Anne Clifford, Jay Marriott, Karen Naylor.
John, say it a bit slower so we can say hi to them.
Jacqueline Heaton.
Hello, Jackie.
Hi, Jay Marriott. That's my little boy.
Who's that?
My little boy.
Jay.
Kim Snowden.
Who's that? Kim Snowden.
Gemma Hobson.
Gemma Hobson, yeah, know all those.
Martin Dursley.
Oh, hello, Martins.
Jackie Beasley.
Jackie Beasley.
Patricia Thompson.
Hello, Tricia.
Angie Croft Deacon. Sherry Hoare. Deborah Jones. Joanna Milligan Birkin.
See, he's getting cocky now, he's shouting them all out fast. Well, anyhow, we're really glad that you could join us tonight. We know it's August and it's the holiday period, but I hope you're all sat down with a nice cup of tea and you're going to enjoy tonight's session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with Wendy. Okay, I'm going to let Wendy to show you how to do a cake. If you can hear some crackling in the background, it's just because I'm getting my nozzles ready. Okay, and then any questions you want to ask, just remember, shout out, ask John, and John will ask Wendy. She's prepared for it. And then if John misses it, you're all a team. You're here every single Monday. You all work together. So if you can all help each other answering each of the questions, that would certainly help. So Wendy, it's over to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hi. We have the oven set at 160 degrees, fan oven, and the shelf in the middle of the oven as well. And I've got all of my ingredients weighed out here. And this is just a basic Victoria sponge, but a chocolate one, using the Sugar and Crumbs cocoa powders. So we have 225 grams of butter, 225 grams of sugar, caster sugar, 175 grams of self-raising flour, and that has 2 teaspoons of baking powder in as well. And we have 50 grams of the chocolate lime cocoa powder, 4 large eggs, and that's your basic recipe. And this is a great one because it's an all-in-one recipe, so there's no need to have different mixers going or to add different bits at different times. Make sure that your butter is actually at room temperature because it is an all-in-one, so you need to make sure that it mixes quite quickly. And the trick to a good Victoria sponge is not to overbeat. So you just really mix it until it's all combined, and don't be tempted to put your mixer on high. Keep it on a medium speed. And I'm just sieving the cocoa powder and flour in there because it just incorporates a little bit more air, because you really do want your Victoria sponge to be light and fluffy. In go the eggs and the sugar, and pop it in the mixer and hope that you don't get a sugar cloud. So just start it off quite slowly. And then just gradually turn it up. But like I say, it doesn't need to be very high, because then you end up overbeating and you end up with a more dense sponge. That's quite dark when it first goes in, and you'll know when it's ready because it'll go a lighter colour. It'll be light and fluffy, and once it gets to that point and you can't see any particles of butter left unfolded, then it's ready to go into the tins.
Can you just recap on the ingredients that are in there?
The ingredients are 225 of butter, 225 of caster sugar, 4 large eggs, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 175 grams of self-raising flour, and 50 grams of whichever flavour cocoa powder you want to use. I've done this with the mint, it went really well with the Maltesers. Today I'm actually using chocolate lime just for a change. You can see now that that's actually lightened quite a bit in colour, so I'm just going to switch the mixer. And I'm just going to scrape down, she says, when I've lost my spatula. Sorry, John.
Okay.
Just make sure that you get it all from the bottom and the sides. Just give it just another quick whiz. I'm just going to set behind you now. And your mix for a Victoria sponge should be a soft dropping consistency. And most of you who did home ec at school will know what that means. Basically, if you pop in some on a spoon and just give it a quick shake, it should just fall off the spoon in a few seconds like that. Okay? So that's your mix done. It's lightened in colour, it's fluffy, and it's ready to go into the tins. And the tins, I have actually already put some grease in. Just butter I've used today. You can use the cake release sprays if you prefer. I used to do it the old-fashioned way where it was butter and flour, but this time I've actually greased my tins and lined them just with some baking parchment. Now if you want to be really accurate, you can put your cake tins onto a set of scales to make sure that you put in the same amount in each. But because this is going to be totally covered in chocolate, I'm not as worried about it being the same on both sides. And after you've made as many as I have, you sort of get an eye for how much should be in each tin anyway. And just put it off in the tin.
Well, we've got Diana from Idaho, USA has joined us.
Oh, fantastic. So has Diana not got the eclipse going over near where she is? Or has it already happened?
I'm not sure.
Because the eclipse is going over part of America today, isn't it?
It's the West Coast.
Pardon?
It's in the West.
Is it in the West? Where's Idaho?
Midwest. There, Janet Comerford is going. Go, Wendy, you're doing great.
Hi, Janet.
We've got Michelle from the Isle of Wight. What size are the tins?
Oh, I was just about to say actually, these are
They are
8-inch tins,
yeah,
which is great for the 2:5 ratio. If you're going to use the 175, I would suggest using the 7-inch tins instead of the 8. So that's them all ready, and they're just going to pop into the oven for between 25 and 28 minutes.
We've got our first viewer from Samoa in the Pacific,
Oh,
in
really?
the South Pacific.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonder what time of the day it is over there then? From the South Pacific. Is it night time? Early hours of the morning?
I don't know.
So they're
What's the
about
name?
20 to 9.
Fathua. Right.
Right, perfect. All right then, so while Wendy just has a tidy up, I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do with Nifty Nozzles. So we're going to use 5 nozzles, okay? And one of the nozzles we're going to use is the Posy. And I've two-toned this in the dark violet colour and white in the centre. You've seen me do it many times
It's
before.
8 a.m. in Samoa.
Oh, 8 a.m. Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining us. We get people all over the world, but it's an early start for you guys. So we're going to use the Posy nozzle, which is one of our extra large nozzles, and I'm using the violet colour splash tonight, ladies. So I'm actually doing the blue, I'm using the nozzles that's in the blue dome kit, but I'm actually going to do it in violet, okay? So, so this is violet and white, and it's really very, very simple. So if John wants to just come in, and Maria, whenever you put the nozzles onto the cake, so this is a styrofoam cake, okay? I wasn't actually going to do anything tonight. I was going to give the whole space to Wendy, but then there's bits of that Wendy has to sort of do tidying up and clean down, so I thought, you know what, I'll fill in a few gaps. So I'm just going to start by how you put the nozzles on. So I've coated the cake in buttercream, and all we're going to do is sit the nozzle onto the cake, and we're going to squeeze, form a base, up, stop, and pull off. And that's your first nozzle. So we're going to squeeze, form a base, up, up. Now this is what you girls like. This is what happens when we pop a bag. So there you go. Can you see that I've just popped a bag there? Okay, and that's because I did cut this bag a little bit too short. So I'll tell you how to save it. So your bags, when you're cutting your bags, they really do need to be in line. This one's not quite there yet, but it will be when I start squeezing. Your bags do need to be in line with your tip. So not to worry about this. Okay, so don't panic, don't go into a meltdown. All we're going to do now is, I don't know whether John can see there or not. So all we're going to do now is we're going to get this nozzle and bag, so you don't have to rebag at all. We're just going to pop it in there. I'm going to cut the bag and squeeze it back a bit.
Got a real international crowd tonight.
Have we?
Yeah.
So there we go. So
Doreen in Donegal and Julianne in Doha.
Oh, hello, Doreen.
From Donegal to Doha.
Yeah. So I've just dropped my bag in there. So the lady that I was saying that I was just doing this for, who asked me would I do this dome cake, is called Kathleen Gagel. Now she's just messaged me and said she might miss us and have to join us later because they're going into, they've got the total eclipse going on and it will be for 3 total minutes, which is between 1 and 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time in America. So it's either over and she's joining us, or she'll come back to us and watch it later. So this dome cake is for Kathleen. So as you can see, we mucked that one up. So let's just take that off. Okay, I'll just put that on the side there. Then I'm going to go back. And with these nozzles, all you're going to do is go straight onto the cake, squeeze.
Yes, Kathleen is there.
Is she here?
Yep.
Hope it was good for her. And this one is the posy. So when you're doing the dome cake, I like to do them in bunches of 2s and 3s. Okay, so we're just going to go around the dome cake like that, and you'll see that I sit the nozzle straight onto the cake. Now the worst thing that you can do is try and do everything evenly. Okay, it just doesn't look right. You need to be doing them random, so don't think about where you're putting them. And I'll just put one there. Yeah, so I'll just come back with another one and then I'm going to send you over to Wendy again. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the sunflower cup. So the sunflower cup, and I'm just going to tuck it in. So when you've got your piping bag, you get this little frill, okay? Try and turn the frill away from your next flower and cut straight in. So let me just show John here. And then I'm just going to quickly show Maria there. So there you go, Maria. Yeah, did you get that? And we'll put one there. And I'll do one for John here. So I'll put one there. And this nozzle is the Sun Dancer cup. And this is one of the extra large nozzles. And basically, all you're going to do is keep building up your layers of nozzles. Yeah, so let me just, and then I'm going to use the carnation, and it's exactly the same again. So who's liking this cake? Are they liking it, John?
Yeah.
So the carnation here is, and all I'm doing is just various shades of lilacs, purples.
I need to go over this side.
Yeah, it's alright, I'll come around here for you. Yeah. So all we're going to do is there, and then just try and keep them as close as you can. So straight onto the base. Straight onto the base. Let me just see. Let's put one in there. Let's put one in there. Straight onto the base and squeeze off. Now I'll just get this nozzle now, and then I'm going to use the pinwheel. And I've put the white on the outside and the lilac in the middle. So the pinwheel, and it'll start squirting through the pinwheel. You can see my face, it's actually on fire, it's boiling in here. So let's just go through again. So if I just do that to the angle, let me just turn that around a minute. If I just do that to the angle so John can see it, and then I'll come around from Maria. Can you see it there?
Yeah.
There? So you sit the nozzle on, and you squeeze out, and that's the pinwheel. So just so I can do it for Maria. So on, squeeze out. Let me just go back to this big bag here. So again with the big nozzles. Okay, so there you can see Maria. Can you get that in, John? Yeah. Let me just go in there again. I'll give you your slot back in a minute. So what I'm going to do is now, you've seen how I've done that, I'm just going to fill in a little bit more while Wendy starts off with her cake again. Yeah? So you're on to the next bit, Wendy.
Okay.
So I'm just going, while Wendy's finishing off, I'm just going to put a bit more on here and then we'll come back and show you how the leaves. So I don't know how long that took me. Let's see, we've been live now 25 minutes. I think we did five or 6 minutes chatting. Then I'll introduce you to Wendy and I think I've just done a couple of minutes on there. Yeah? So I'll come back and finish that in a minute, and if you want to go back to Wendy, that'd be great, and I'll go and dry my face.
I'll try to get
Because
this
I'm on
on
fire.
fire to stay on.
Do you want me to do it for you?
It's on.
Yeah.
It's on.
Wireless connection.
So this buttercream that I'm using is the Sugar and Crumbs chocolate milkshake. It's a favourite with the kids, and I quite like this one as well because I'm a bit of a chocoholic. Just put in lots of different flavours.
So what's actually in the bowl?
This is the Sugar and Crumbs chocolate milkshake icing sugar, and when I made it I did 500 grams of butter and a kilo of icing sugar. And I'm just softening it up a bit because it's just been sat for a little while, so I'm just going to soften it up slightly. A little bit softer to use. It is really warm in this kitchen as well.
It's amazing how hot it gets in here, isn't
It
it?
smells gorgeous.
Yeah, I know, but that's a good thing. The kitchen smells gorgeous, doesn't it?
It's hard because every time I think I have a favourite flavour, you bring something else out.
Well,
I must admit the pina colada is one of my favourites at the moment. I do like that one.
Could you just run through the actual the recipe for the buttercream again, please?
It was 500 grams of butter, any supermarket block butter will do, and a kilo of icing sugar. And I usually leave my butter, if it's not too warm, I leave my butter for between 7 and 10 minutes depending on how warm it is in the kitchen. Add the icing sugar, beat it slowly, and then sort of walk away for a few minutes and just leave it beating away to itself, and it goes nice and light and fluffy. Okay, so I'm just going to use some strawberry jam today, but again it's personal taste, it's whatever you fancy using. I'm just going to put a bit of jam into the... And you'll notice that I've actually left the board showing more one side than the other, and there is actually a reason for that, which you'll see when I start to put the chocolate fingers on, because we're going to actually have the cascade coming down and onto the board. I would normally warm this up for a few seconds in the microwave, but to be honest, it's so warm in here anyway, it's spreading quite well without, so...
you spend all your time here trying to harden things up in this kitchen.
Yeah, it is warm.
A lot of
I thought
people are
my
asking
unit was warm.
what's the name of the nozzles and where can you get them?
Right. So, are these all new viewers? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Right. Just 1 second.
Rob, Alan was very kind. We put a
link on.
Yeah.
If Rob could put a link to the blue dome cake nozzles, even though I'm using the colour violet, that would be great. So the nozzles that I'm using are the genuine Russian piping tips, okay? These are not the infringing copies that are sold by China and that tend to be on Amazon. Anybody who knows anything about Nifty Nozzles knows that it's Alexandra and I who own the patents for all the nozzles, and they're called Nifty Nozzles. If anybody wants them abroad, all they've got to do is email me and I can sort out a list of nozzles for them and a price, okay, for delivery. If it's not a Nifty nozzle, it's actually a Chinese copy. So, let me just see what else I've got on here tonight.
So you put jam on one side and the buttercream on the other.
Yeah. Now, I've actually done it the right way around because I'm doing it on Facebook, but normally, for easiness, I actually put the buttercream on the bottom and the jam on the one that I'm going to lift over, just because it's easier.
Oh, why did you do that tonight?
Because then we'll have lots of people on Facebook saying, well, that doesn't look right because the jam's on top of the cream.
It's like the whole thing was. It's like the whole thing was scones, isn't it? Do you put jam on first or cream? And I always put jam on first.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, but then there's other people, they want cream on first. We'll have to open up the debate.
Yeah. It's like the old thing with the Jaffa cakes. That argument rages on, doesn't it? Is that why are Jaffa cakes in the biscuit aisle? Are they a cake or are they a biscuit?
Thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah, thanks Rob for putting that link on for me. So the nozzles that I'm using tonight are the nozzles that are in the blue dome cake. So if John just wants to come back here a moment.
Yeah, everybody's up for jam first.
Jam first.
Yeah.
See, you did well there, right?
I knew.
Right, okay, so the nozzles that we're using tonight is the Nifty Nozzles, okay? They're the genuine Russian piping tips. So if there's any new viewers on tonight, the original designer is Alexander Lebedev, who is based in Russia, and this is why they're called Russian piping tips. Alexander and I work together, and he does a lot of our designs, and the designs that are in here are actually the designs that Laura did, so we've got, which is my daughter. So we've got the Sun Dancer cup, we've got the Posy, we've got the carnation, the small, well, the large carnation. We do an extra one. We're using the pinwheel as well. So I showed you before that all I've done is just put these on, and you just sit them straight onto the base, and then you pull up 1 centimetre, and then you're off. Now I'm going to use a bright green. You do need infills, so I'm going to use a bright green for my leaves, and I think I put a little bit too much.
Pam was saying it depends where you have your scones and cream.
Depends where you have your scones and cream.
Cornwall, it's jam first, and Devon, it's the other way around.
We see, I'm a Devon girl, you see. My mother was from Devon, so that's where we've been taught.
No, you're doing it the wrong way around then.
What? In Devon, that they put cream first?
Yeah.
No, they don't. We put jam first. I'm from Barnstable. Well, I'm from Stockport, but my family's from Barnstable. Maybe Barnstable's a bit different.
Well, yeah, definitely.
So my, I put far too much green in this bag, and it's quite stiff for me to squeeze. So I'm actually going to set myself up with another bag, if I'm really honest. And I'm there half of it in. So just give me a couple of minutes.
It always looks a mess when you start it as well. It doesn't have to be perfect because it all gets decorated.
Well, that's a good thing when you do these type of cakes. It's why I like doing the dome cake, because your buttercream doesn't have to be nice and neat. It's the whole reason why I like using Nifty Nozzles, because it doesn't have to be nice and neat. So I know Kathleen asked me what's my buttercream recipe. Now, in America, they use the Swiss buttercream method, okay, which I think is known as SBC, is it? Swiss buttercream recipe? But anyhow, but we use just a basic buttercream recipe. And our recipe that we're using tonight, for this dome cake, you need 500 grams of butter. You can either use 500 grams of unsalted butter, or you can use 250 grams of unsalted butter and 250 grams of salted. Now, when you use salted butter in your buttercream, basically you're taking away the sweetness from the icing sugar. I don't like all salted. I think that's just a bit too much. Personally, I prefer unsalted all the way. But for those people who don't want ice, you know, their buttercream too sweet, then do half and half, 250 grams of salted butter, 250 grams of unsalted, and then you need a kilo of icing sugar. If you're using our flavoured icing sugars, you know, personally I like them full strength, but a lot of people like to use them half strength. So use a bag of the flavoured icing sugar, which is 500 grams, and 500 grams of plain icing sugar. Mix it all together. How do I mix it? So first of all, I put my butter into the mixer.
Jackie said you can use stork.
Who said I can use stork?
Jackie.
Jackie, we'll have this conversation next week, Jackie. Okay, buttercream is made with butter. So anyhow, so what you do is you put the butter into your mixer and mix the butter, okay? Just keep mixing the butter on its own. Don't add any icing sugar. Give it a really good beat, 3, 4, 5 minutes, but just turn the mixer on and let it beat. It's summer now, so when you leave your butter out overnight, it will be nice and soft room temperature, okay? In the winter, we have to sort of work with it a little bit more. So put your butter into the mixer, really beat it well for at least a good 5 minutes. It will start to turn white, that's when you know it's right. Then add your icing sugar. Now, if you put all your icing sugar in one go and turn the mixer on, you're going to have a lovely big white cloud across your kitchen, and I'm sure many of you have done that. I've done it. And still do it now, but now I do 2 things. I either get myself a wet tea towel and put that over the top of the mixer in the bowl, or I just pulsate. So what I do is I turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, just while it gradually beats in, and then once it's all beaten in, then I turn it on, and then I give it another 5 minutes of beating. So the buttercream is getting about 10 minutes. I know Jackie loves to use margarine. And for all you vegetarians and vegans out there, especially vegans, you'll use another product which I can't think what it's called now, but I know that you do find it can be quite runny, so you do have to add more and more icing sugar. Can you remember what that product's called? Is it Pure? I think it's what they're called for vegans. I think it's Pure. But that you'll have to add more icing sugar because it will be quite runny, okay? But buttercream is made with butter. Now, while we're talking to Jackie there, next week, Jackie Heaton and Rob Allen are here live on Facebook Live. And, have we done this with Wendy? Wendy, have you started and we've not told her?
Sorry.
Yeah. Right, so while I'm talking, I'm just going to quickly whiz John round to Wendy because she's speeding ahead with this cake. So Wendy, tell her what you're doing.
Right.
She was being sneaky and trying not to be on Facebook Live there, guys.
I've just started putting the chocolate fingers around the cake, and that's why it doesn't matter that it wasn't very tidy underneath. So you're just going to press these in. I have done this cake all different ways as well. I've done it just with ganache until I became a fan of sugar and crumbs. And now I tend to use the buttercreams instead. I have found though that if you use the Maltesers on the side, which is what I did last week, as the buttercream hardens, the Maltesers were popping off. So what I did then was I just melted some chocolate in the microwave, which I'm hoping Carol will do for me in a minute, for when I need to.
When you're ready.
And it just gave it a little bit more staying power, putting the chocolate onto, just dipping the chocolate balls into the melted chocolate and then putting it against the buttercream. Now this is not one for anybody who's calorie conscious because it is full of chocolate.
Smells good though.
I've made quite a lot of chocolate themed cakes since I sort of started doing this properly, and they always seem to go down well, as do the chocolate brownies.
I think anything that's chocolate is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got a question about what colours you've used
For me?
for the nozzles.
Right, well tonight I've only used one colour, okay, believe it or not. So when I was talking to you about beating the buttercream, beat it till it's lovely and white, and this is the white colour we've got here. And then I've used this violet colour, I've got buttercream on my fingers, I've used this violet colour here, which is part of the Colour Splash range. Now, in fairness, the Colour Splash range is gels. Everybody has their own personal preference. This is my personal preference. Do I dislike any of the other gels? No, not really, okay? I think they all work really well, but the reason I love the Colour Splash range is because of this little gizmo here. So that when I squeeze off here, this one's not been used tonight, this one has. So when I squeeze off here, it's just nice and neat, okay? And you can, I have been mucky with this one, but you just squeeze off. I can see exactly how much I've put into my buttercream, and then I've obviously squeezed a little bit too much there and put the lid back on, but normally it's all nice and neat. And I've got more control of how much colour I'm actually putting in. So I've actually put quite a lot in this one here, so I've made it really dark violet, and then I've done a lighter shade, as you can see here. I've two-toned it as well. So I've two-toned it with the violet on the outside, white. This one's with white with the lighter lilac in the centre, and I'm now just filling in with my leaves. So when you fill in with your leaves, you're just gonna go around, fill in with all your leaves, and it pulls the whole cake together.
We've got a question, Wendy. A lady said that when she does her cakes, they come out domed. So how come yours are nice and flat?
Ooh, I've been watching her do that today.
You need to turn your oven down to 160 and make sure that you're using the right size tins, because if you put this mix into a 7-inch cake, it hasn't got anywhere to spread out, so it will spread up instead. And if you put it in a higher oven, it will actually dome in the top. And it's the same with cupcakes. I always cook my cupcakes at 160 because I don't want the dome on the top. So just turn your oven down slightly.
Yeah. And get the right size tin.
And make sure that you've got the right size tins for the amount of mix that you've got in.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that you say that, because I do the other. I agree with Wendy. If you want a flat top, then you should do it on a lower heat for the right size tin. But for the cupcakes, where Wendy wants to keep hers flat, I like to turn the heat up. So I'll turn them up to 170, 180, because, and I do say this to you, it is wrong to do it because I want that little volcano explosion. And the only reason I want that is because it gives me a bit of height, so that when you're decorating the Nifty Nozzles, they're not just going on a flat cupcake. So you've got that little bit of height to help build round, or you don't have to build it all around with a big swirl of buttercream and then start sticking your flowers on. So I like to just slightly turn the heat up on my cupcakes, but only for when I'm decorating with Nifty Nozzles. If I'm decorating with sugar paste and I want a flat top, then I agree with Wendy, I'll keep it at 160 so that they cook nice and slow and nice and flat.
And if they do dome as well, when you take them out of the oven, just turn them upside down.
Yeah, it squashes them in, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it'll flatten. So,
yeah.
I find that especially with Madeira cakes, because obviously you don't want them domed, because you're usually using them for a celebration cake, like a wedding cake or something. So if mine slightly domes, I just turn them the other way to cool, and they get a nice flat top on. And I do have a Wilton cake leveler as well, which, to be honest, I don't have to use very often, but when I do, that's a handy tool to have, because it's just like a saw in action, and you can just take literally the dome off without taking any of the extra cake off with it. So that's, I've left a gap there because we want the balls to sort of come down onto the front. So I'm going to start now just building it up with the Maltesers.
Did you want me to melt the chocolate there?
Yes, please.
How long is that going to go in the microwave for?
I usually do it in about 20-second blasts and just keep giving it a stir.
Okay.
This is a really nice one as well to do with the kids or the grandkids. It's a nice fun cake, because baking should be fun. If you're getting stressed out baking, then it's obviously not for you. Although on saying that, I do have some days where things don't work, like when I dropped a birthday cake on the floor the day before and I had 24 hours to make another one. And when I've got a date wrong, and I thought, oh yes, those cakes don't need delivery until Saturday, and it was actually Friday. So yes.
I know I've got a wedding this week and I have to keep telling me it's Friday. I mean, thankfully it's not an order, it's actually just something I'm doing as a gift. So they get what they're given.
Yeah.
Right.
I think my family love me now because if I have disasters, well, I think they're a disaster because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So the family just get all these cakes that I think don't look very good, and they'll say, well, what's wrong with the cake? Well, this doesn't look right. So I'm slowly fattening up all my family so that I can look nice and skinny. Now this is the first time I've actually done it with 2 different bags of sweets because I just fancy doing something a little bit different this week.
You never scented sweet then, Wendy?
Do you know what? Before I started doing this properly,
See, I had
a really sweet tooth, but I don't know, I think over the last couple of months, I think I've just sickened myself off with cakes. But then I've had people who think because I don't always eat my own cakes, there's just something wrong with them. There isn't, it's just that I go through fits and starts where sometimes I really want to eat the cakes and other times I've looked at them all day and I just don't want to eat one.
Do you want this totally melted?
Yes, please. And one thing I found when I first made one of these cakes is Maltesers are not a generic size, which isn't so bad if you're just putting them on the top, but it becomes very tedious when you're putting them around the outside of the cake because you're always looking for ones that are about the same size so that you don't have any big gaps.
Right, Wendy, that's really better.
Thank you.
So
So I think
just watch yourself with
I'm
it.
going to start putting some of the green ones on.
Some people are saying they use cake belts or cake strips around the
Yeah.
outside.
Yes.
You can, and
Yeah.
you can also use a wet tea towel, you know. If you wet a tea towel and wring it out and then wrap that round your cake tin, that works equally as well.
I find that the cake strips are really handy if you're doing sort of a Madeira cake that takes a bit longer to cook, because it makes it cook evenly and you don't get the dome on the top as much if you're using the Wilton baking strips around the outsides of the tins.
And we sell them on our website.
And someone has asked, what are the green sweets?
Oh, these are just aerials, peppermint bubbles. See, Carol, they are called bubbles.
Oh yeah, not balls. Yeah. Okay, so all I'm doing now is just finishing this off. I'm using the Wilton 352 leaf, which comes in the blue dome cake set. Okay, and all I'm doing is just going in, filling in a couple of little gaps with the leaves, just pulling it together. So I don't know whether you like this colour. I just thought I'd do something different than the blue, really. So what do you think of this colour, guys?
I think that's gorgeous.
Do you? See, I like the blue and the pink. I was wondering whether to do a yellow one. And then you just put the leaves all over the place. I think that's enough now for leaves, personally. And we're done. And then you just go around the base, put in a couple of leaves around the base, anywhere you want. Fill it in. So the one good thing about this cake is I do use a half dome tin cake when I'm making them. As I've told you tonight, this is on a stereo dome cake. You can get those half dome tin cakes from Lakeland or off Amazon. And I think Lakeland have got a sale on them at the moment, because I know I picked up 4 the other week for half price, which I was really chuffed about, since I had to buy 4 of them. And basically you're going to make your sponge. In the half dome cakes, I will make a mix for a 10-ounce mix, okay? So I make a 10-ounce Victoria sponge mix, cut it in half. It takes about 1.5 hours to cook in the pan. Cut it in half, fill it with lemon curd's my thing. I prefer to use that than jam. And then rough coat all of it with buttercream. Okay, now it must have just a rough coat. It doesn't have to be nice and neat or perfect. And then you just start putting your nozzles on randomly all the way over, and then just fill in with some green leaves just to finish it off.
Can you tell us what nozzles you've used?
Yeah. So anybody who's got nozzles already and they just want the ones that are in this set. So I use the Wilton 352 for the leaf. Okay. So that's what I've used for the leaf. Then I've used the Carnation nozzle. And the Carnation, if you go on our website, which is Sugar and Crumbs, so it's www.sugarandcrumbs, the nozzle I've used there is the Carnation large, okay, and it's the 108 large Carnation. We also do an extra large, which is the 208. Then I've used the Posy, okay.
Yeah, which green are you using?
Pardon?
Which green are you using?
I was just using just the green off the Colour Splash. So then I use the Posy, and the Posy is 215 XL, so that's the Posy. I've also used the Sundancer cup, and that's the 220 XL Sundancer cup. We've also got a Sundancer as well. And then I've used the Wilton, I've used the Pinwheel, which is this one, and that's number 40, so that's 40L. Okay, so those are the 5 nozzles. So if you've got any of those nozzles and you want to buy them individually, that's the 5 nozzles. Or you can actually buy all these nozzles in one set, and it's called the Blue Dome Nifty Nozzle set. And Rob has very kindly put the link on, and I'll put it on later as well. Is it already on the website? Yeah, Maria's already pinned tonight's session at the top of the page, and it's already got the link at the top of the page for the Blue Dome set if you want to buy it as a whole set, and you'll get every nozzle in there. And then the Colour Splash, these are £1.65, so I'd recommend you buy those. In the blue one over there, I've only used one colour for this, so it's white buttercream and various shades of violet. For the blue one, I've just used the blue, and for the pink, I've just used the pink, not the pale pink, the dark pink. So anyhow, so I'm going to pass you back to Lindsay. So just let me ask you, do you like this cake, guys? John, you back here with me? Sorry, John wasn't with me.
Oh, you were with Lindsay.
I was with Lindsay, yeah.
I was wondering who Lindsay was.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got Wendy and Maria. Not sorry.
You know I always get it the wrong way around. So anyhow, so what do we think of this, guys? Do we like this one? How's this one going? Are we getting any comments, John?
Yes, I love it.
Would you like to shout out? Beautiful, good. You know I have to wait for John to tell us. So this is the Blue Dome cake, and I'm now going to put you back to Wendy. It's because she's been called Preston for the last few months. Confused myself.
I've got it on my pin. That's so I forget what I'm called.
So I'm going to put you back to Wendy, who's actually now going to finish off her cake for you. And I'm going to pop mine round the back.
So I've just got some melted chocolate here. You can use any chocolate you like. This is just the chocolate buttons. I've got all the top covered there, and this is where the fun part starts. Now I have 2 straws. This is the first time I've done it with 2, so you'll have to bear with me. So we're going to put one that is about here, and just put your straws right in, and I'll put this one a bit further back. So all I'm going to do with this now, because I want the stuff to cascade down the side and it doesn't hold as well, so I'm just literally dipping the aero bubbles into the melted chocolate, and it just gives it a little bit more of a solid base. You can use ganache if you prefer, and have your buttercream in the centre. Just put a couple on the board as well.
It's looking good, Wendy.
Thank you.
Well, we've had 11,006 views.
Brilliant.
That's people just viewing it at the moment. There's 288 viewers with us, so the viewers are people who just popped on and had a look. And we've reached 61,000. So very good. That's not bad on an August holiday
Especially,
night.
yeah, I was going to say, with it being the holidays and
Right.
Everybody's busy.
So Christina Lennon is asking, do you sell the cakes? But it depends where you are, Christina. If you're up in the northeast, yes, Wendy
Yes.
does sell the cakes.
Yes.
So if you're up in the northeast, yes, Wendy sells cakes and she sells them to her local customers. But if you're not up in the northeast, no. Charlie Carey, Sarah, are your tips Nifty Nozzles? That's another conversation. So Lindsay says, I've got her on the brain. I have. Let me just see what else is there. So you just pop them all over randomly?
Just randomly put them on, yeah. And I'm going to just start building them up around the straw.
Did you think of this method just by yourself, or did you see it somewhere?
I used to use, when I first did it, I used a cake pop stick.
Right. Yeah.
I did it on there because I didn't have one of these frames that you can now buy. And then I'd done one with that, and then I was just on, I think, Pinterest or something. Yeah. And I saw them using a bendy straw.
Right.
The very first zero gravity cake that I did was actually a Prosecco bottle.
Right. Oh, yeah. I think I saw that.
30th birthday.
Yeah.
And I literally sat for nearly an hour with my finger on the bottle.
But how did you get the bottle on? Was it a proper glass bottle?
It was a proper glass bottle.
And
it was a mini, it wasn't a large one.
Okay.
I've since found out you can buy plastic bottles, which would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I drank the Prosecco first.
Good girl.
Yes. Well, the lady was pregnant, so she couldn't have it. So I thought, well, it's not going to waste.
Yeah.
So I drank the Prosecco, and I had to sit for nearly an hour with this Prosecco bottle balanced on white chocolate and popcorn. Now, these don't want to stick.
Anne Gallagher has noticed I've not any sweets tonight.
You're being good.
Because normally I'm scoffing my way through this session. That's because I've started my diet today, Anne. Albeit I've had to go to the. I took Wendy and her husband to the Indian, but I think I behaved myself in there. I didn't have a lot.
This is where you're really tempted to lick your fingers.
Is that yours? Yeah, no, I can see chocolate all over your fingers.
I know.
That's where you do want to lick your fingers, isn't it?
do.
But you can't.
I can't.
No.
And honestly, I'm a bit OCD with my hands because they're forever in hot water or anti-bac.
Yeah.
I've got a real thing about my hands being clean.
And how long does the chocolate take to set? You know, like now you're sticking it on and they're moving around.
Yes. Now, normally this would have started to set by now, but it is very warm in here, so I might have to just leave this a couple of minutes and pass over to you to chat.
Now I've finished my cake.
Have you finished?
Come back and catch it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So and I've got the other cakes out of the oven now as well.
Right. So
and your cakes.
well, do you want to show how those cakes are out of the oven? Are they ready to come out of the baking tin yet?
They might be a bit warm yet.
Yeah. But you can
great.
show how flat top it is.
Yes, they are flat on the top, which is what I wanted anyway. And they should have a bit of a spring to them. When you press them, they should spring straight back. You shouldn't be able to see your finger marks in them. So I think I've slightly overcooked these actually. I got so engrossed in that. But yes, usually between 25 and 28 minutes usually does the trick.
They smell good. That chocolate lime is gorgeous.
It is, it's lovely.
Yeah.
I usually leave them in the tin for maybe 5 minutes and then I take them out and put them onto a wire rack to cool completely.
Yeah. John's just saying we'll do this in catch-up, but we can't, John, because the ganache will go hard.
Yeah.
So we've got to stay with it. So
it is starting to set now.
So anybody who is watching, so while Wendy's just putting a few more of those on, let's talk about the recipe. So Wendy, do you want to just remind everybody what recipe you've done tonight? I think I heard you say a Victoria sponge recipe.
It was a Victoria's all-in-one recipe.
An all-in-one. And what was that? Was that a 6 ounce, 12 ounce?
It was 225 grams. I don't work in ounces.
Oh yeah, lucky you, eh?
I
See,
don't work in ounces at all.
Right.
If I tried to convert that, I'd have to look on my scale.
Right.
Because
well, I'll have to convert that then, because I'm old school, so I work in ounces.
Yeah.
So how many was that? What was that recipe then?
225 grams of butter.
So 225, that's the same to grams to ounces.
I've probably got Bacon Nana on there saying, oh no, you can use margarine.
Yeah.
Which you can, to be fair, my gran taught me to bake with margarine.
So it's the 8-ounce mix, that's
Yes.
what you've actually used. Right, so Wendy has done the 8-ounce Victoria sponge mix. So for us who are still in ounces, and for those who are not still in ounces, it was 225 grams. So that's 225 grams of self-raising flour, was it? Plain?
175 of
because of the cocoa
flour
powder,
and
isn't
50
it?
grams of cocoa powder.
Right. So this is the way I would explain it. So Wendy has actually used the cocoa powder. So when you're making a Victoria sponge, all the ingredients are exactly the same. So if you're doing an 8-ounce mix, every 4 ounces is 2 eggs. So we're going to do an 8-ounce mix, so you need 4 eggs, okay? And then you would use 8 ounces of self-raising flour. That 8 ounces of self-raising flour, 8 ounces, I use margarine, you use butter, don't you? Mm-hmm. And 8 ounces of caster sugar. You blend your caster sugar and your icing sugar together until it's, you're doing an all-in-one, aren't you?
Yes.
Ah, see? It just shows, isn't it?
And
how different we are.
And icing
Right.
sugar.
So you're doing it also, so do you put all your eggs in and everything all in together?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
If it's good enough for Mary Berry, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I never used to be honest. I used to do it, and sometimes I still do. I'll go
The
back
way
to
I
the
do
traditional
it.
way
Yeah.
where you cream the butter and
Well,
sugar
I'm definitely
first.
old school, aren't I?
And that's the way
right.
my gran taught me to bake.
Yeah.
But then I discovered Mary Berry's cookbook, and she had an all-in-one, and I thought, how easy is that?
So forget that then. So she does everything all in one. Now, just so that you know about the cocoa powder, if you're doing a chocolate cake, when you're doing an 8-ounce chocolate cake, you take out, of the flour, you take out 2 ounces of flour, okay? You take out 2 ounces of flour and you replace it with 2 ounces of cocoa powder to bring it back to your 8 ounces. And what Wendy's done tonight is 175 grams of flour.
Yeah.
And how many grams of cocoa powder?
50.
50 grams of cocoa powder. So that's the difference in grams and ounces. And then she's done the all-in-one method, whereas I always beat the caster sugar and the butter together. Then I add my eggs slowly. Then I fold in my flour and add flavouring. But you don't need to add flavouring because you've used the sugar and crumbs cocoa powder, which is brilliant. But if you're just doing a plain Victoria sponge, you need to add flavouring. Or you can swap the caster sugar for flavoured icing sugar if you want, like for like.
And someone's asked if we can post the recipe, so we will
We
do
are
that.
going to post the recipe. Is it actually posted, Maria? No. Yeah, we will post the recipe. I'll post it on tonight with Wendy, but we'll be doing catch up with Wendy. So when we finish and you all pop off and have a cup of tea and come back with a pen and paper and you can write it down. But in the meantime, we'll type it up onto the website as well. So Wendy is building this together. And how are you feeling, Wendy? Because you were a bag of nerves this afternoon.
I've just forgotten what we're doing here, and I'm just engrossed. And this is how I get. And I'll say to Dave that I'll be home at sort of 6 o'clock, and he'll ring me at 8:30 and say, "Are you nearly finished?" And I'll say, "Oh, about another hour yet." And he'll say, "You do know it's 8:30." And I've been in my unit for 10 or 12 hours and just totally lost track of all time.
Men don't get it where you get all engrossed baking cakes, do they?
My son actually got it the other day because he came to help me with him being on school holidays, and I had him mixing up all the buttercreams for me and weighing out ingredients, and he saw all the washing up and everything that needed to be done and how long it actually took to do everything. And he said, "Now I know why you're always in the unit, why it takes so much time."
Is it best to go from one to another while you're building up? And
it is, that's what I've been doing. I've been letting that set, moving across to there, and then vice versa.
Rather than concentrate on one, isn't it?
Because it's just giving each side time to start to set. And to be honest, because this is quite random, even if you wanted to put sort of some green in, it's entirely up to yourself how you want to do it. But you can see here now I've been trying to be too quick there, and that one's actually fallen off, so I'm going to leave that a second to set.
So, for this recipe, how many boxes of Maltesers have you gone through?
Right, I'm on to my 3rd box now. Yes. When I did it all, I did one all with the Maltesers, and it took nearly 6 bags of Maltesers, 6 of these size Maltesers. It's a bit more cost effective with the fingers because it's only one layer.
Yeah, so, exactly.
And they're actually
And how many boxes of fingers did you have to use?
I've only used 2 and a bit because I've left a gap. So you'll probably use about 2.5 if you're going to fill the whole cake. Oh.
It's amazing how much it does hold though, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much it
Yeah.
needs. I mean, I would have just gone to the shop and bought 1 box of Maltesers,
Yes.
1 box of fingers, and thought I'd have done. But people need to realise that when they're ordering these types of cakes as well, just exactly how much is going on.
Into them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's things like, you know, I did a very quick business course after I'd finished college last year. I went on a business course with the same lecturer. And it was things that I hadn't thought about, like how much electricity are you using, how much are your paper cases,
your cake drum,
your cake drums,
your 2 straws,
your straw, everything.
Can't
really
buy 2 straws, you've got to buy a packet, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got to sort and people will say like, can you make me a cake but you haven't used all the ingredients?
Yeah.
Well, if I can use those ingredients somewhere else, then happy days. But sometimes it's things that you can't reuse, but you've had to buy a whole pack of something.
Well, I don't mind having your leftover Maltesers, even though I am on a diet.
It does take a little bit of time, but it does look good when it's done.
Yeah.
But it is very warm in here, so it's not sticking as quickly as I'd like it.
We're always on meltdown in here.
At least I haven't turned into a puddle on the floor yet, which I thought I might.
Well, anyhow, let's just take John back over here to recap then what we've done. So, John, do you want to just come back over here then, so I can just show you what we're doing? Okay, so basically I was going to have a night off tonight, and then I had a lovely lady called Catherine who emailed me today and wanted to know how to do the dome cake. So I actually thought, you know what, I'll quickly just decorate the dome cake for you. I have used a styrofoam cake tonight, so I have cheated, but normally if I do make the dome cake, I just make it with a 10-ounce Victoria sponge mix. Now on the website we have 2 dome cake packs, okay, we call it the blue dome and the pink dome. The blue dome has 5 nozzles in, and the pink dome has 6 nozzles. In the pink dome you get 2 Wiltons and 4 Nifty Nozzles, and in the blue you get 4 Nifty Nozzles and 1 Wilton leaf nozzle. So rather than just do the same colour, I've actually used this kit that's on the website. So if you go to sugarandcrumbs.co.uk, look for Nifty Nozzles and then the blue dome set. That's what I've actually used tonight, but I've actually used it in the colour lilacs, which I quite like. I wasn't sure which colour I was going to do, but so we've used the lilacs, okay? And in there you get the Sundancer cup, you get the posy, pinwheel and the large carnation. Large carnation, large pinwheel, extra large Sundancer cup, extra large posy, and the 352 Wilton. So that's what we've made tonight. It didn't take long to decorate it. You just randomly put the flowers around, and don't put them nice and neat. Don't put one there, there, and there. Just, you know, just put them around in groups of 3s and 2s and fit them all together. And then you just fill in all the little gaps with leaves, okay? What I've done on the pink dome, you get this extra little nozzle in there. And you can see this little tiny one here. That's called a flower drop, the Wilton 224. So even if you wanted that one to go with this set, we do sell this on the website, that one. It's a Wilton 224 flower drop, and it's £1.50 on the website. So you could buy that and use that on this set as well. And to be fair, anybody who's got Nifty Nozzles, you don't even have to use all these nozzles. Just use your own, you know, and use your own and put them on. Just remind you about the sale again. Great British Bake Off is back on next Tuesday. I'm so glad it's not on a Monday, because I didn't know whether I'd win the fight. Great British Bake Off or Carol at Nifty Nozzles, Sugar and Crumbs. So anyhow, so they're Tuesday. So you've got me Mondays, Great British Bake Off Tuesday. So the big baking bags of icing sugar are still on offer. £22 for the 5 kilos, £11 for the 2.5 kilos. Okay, there's a really good saving on those. The normal bags of icing sugar are £3.49, reduced to £2.49. We've got the piping bags in packs of 100, £9.99 for the bags for 100 piping bags, and we've also got our cornflour pouches in. So just like John's come round, we've also got our cornflour pouches in, which are £2.75, and they're 100 gram cornflour pouches. So they're perfect if you're using your sugar paste and for doing your dustings there. And they're our very own, we make those ourselves, okay? So let's just have a go back to Wendy then. In fact, let me just tell you what's going on next week actually. So next week, we've got Jackie Heaton. Jackie Heaton's been here before. She's on the website tonight. She's commenting there. Jackie and I are always having an argument of what buttercream is made with. Buttercream has the name Buttercream because it's made with butter, Jackie. So it's not margarine, it's buttercream. So we make it with butter, okay? So Jackie Heaton's with us next week and she's going to be making a pavlova for us. So I'm looking forward to that. And then she's bringing her fellow friend, Rob Allen, and he's going to be making an egg custard. And I'm really looking forward to that. For those of you who don't know Jackie and Rob, they are on Twitter and they have set up a thing after the Great British Bake Off. They'll tell you more about it, but they do a Twitter bake-along. And basically, as Great British Bake Off, whatever they bake next week, Rob and Jackie will then ask everybody else to make their version and share it all on Twitter, and it really is good fun. So they sort of have set that up and they've been doing that for over a year now, and they work together as a team. Now they've been here before, they're coming back next Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, so make sure you're here to support them, okay? The week after, can't remember who it is, the week after, but who is it? Is it me? Might be me. Again, I'll have to think of something good for that day. I'll have a look at my calendar, but I know we're really busy through September. So I'll have a look. So let's come back to Wendy then. Let's see how she's doing.
Okay, so I've built it all up there now and I'm going to now attempt to put the packets on. Now I've seen this done in lots of different ways. Some people actually open the bag quite wide and they fill it with their balled up cling film. But the way that I liked it was just to have a small slit in the bag, and I do actually leave just a couple of Maltesers, a couple of the balls in the bag, because it just makes it easier when you put it on there. You've got sort of a ball that's going to hold it up slightly.
Right, okay.
Did I explain that
no.
well? No,
so
right.
Just run that around me again.
I've left a couple of balls in,
yeah,
because we're going to put chocolate over here,
yeah,
and then we're going to tip the bag onto the straw.
yeah.
And what will happen is the few balls that I've left in here will actually
set
onto the straw.
Right, okay.
And that just gives it a little bit more sort of stability.
Okay, yeah.
So could you please pass me a knife?
A knife, yeah. Is it a flat knife you want? Or
Yeah, it's just so that I can put some
yeah.
chocolate on here.
Okay.
Well, this is the moment of truth. This is the bit I've been dreading. Because sometimes it works the first time and other times...
Do you have to wait for a little bit for that to go tacky before you sort of put your bag on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I know that this is one of those cakes that whatever stage you're on, it looks really, really untidy. But then once it's actually finished,
yeah,
it
all
looks
comes
really
together.
nice. And there's nothing actually wrong with your leftover chocolate if you wanted to drizzle it all over the cake.
Yeah.
I do actually have one of those drizzling tools, and I have on occasion used my excess ganache or chocolate to just drizzle over. Or I've used it on top of chocolate brownies, so nothing goes to waste. Yeah, nothing needs to go to waste. And if you're like me, you can never get too much chocolate anyway. So,
well, it's looking good.
So that's just going to go on there. Okay.
So everyone's loving it, which is good. I'm loving all those love hearts, team. Thank you for supporting Wendy.
I'm hoping some of my friends are watching.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. It is very nerve-wracking though, isn't it, coming along, and you know that you're putting yourself in front of everybody for them to like, ooh, I don't know whether I like that, do like that, she's doing that wrong, she's not doing that right.
Because everybody has their own way of working, you know, and somebody else might come on and say, well, I don't do my Victoria sponges and all in one, and to be honest, until 6 months ago, I would never have done it like that.
And the other thing is, what people do need to remember, if they are new here, do you want to go around the other side and watch how she's doing that? Yeah. What they do need to remember is we have to do this at speed.
Yes.
This isn't like when you're in your own home and you can take your time and spend time. We're actually doing this at speed. That's going in there.
So there's just that one ball there that I'm just going to sort of squeeze down.
Hold it in place.
Hold it in place.
Whoa.
I've seen this done with beer cans.
Yeah.
Candy
Beer
stripe
cans
bags. candy stripe bags always look lovely with all the kiddie mix sort of coming out. So I might do one of those next actually.
That's a good idea actually,
yeah,
isn't it?
just a stripy bag and all this sort of gummy bears and everything coming down the straw. So I've cut that hole slightly bigger than I wanted to, but it should be okay. Just pop it back in so that it sticks to the straw how I want it.
Yeah, I think that's what people don't realise. When you're here on Facebook Live, we've only got a certain amount of time. We're trying to rush to do everything so everybody can see everything. So if it's not quite perfect, guys, you just got to remember that we are
working at speed.
Working at speed.
In a very warm kitchen.
Hey, look at that, Wendy. It stayed up straight away.
Yes, I'm just going to turn that slightly.
Okay. Fantastic.
And
so
there you
that's
go.
to Maria. You want to show it to John? So a big round of applause, everybody. Get those love hearts and likes going. What do we think? Do you all think you could have a go?
Yeah.
What were they saying, John?
Yeah.
They're all thinking they can have a go.
Yes. Well
See,
done.
the thing I like about that is I would never attempt to do that. And I've got to be honest, I think you've made it look easy enough for us all to have a go.
Yeah.
I think we could all have a go. I know Laura's made them a few times, but I've never watched her make one. So well done, Wendy.
Thank you.
Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it was great.
I think it looks fantastic. So does anybody want to ask any quick questions then? No? John?
Well, lots of applause, lots of likes, lots of loves, thumbs up.
So well done. So let me just pop round here then. So if we go back to where we were then, okay, so it's 9:15 now on this lovely Monday evening, and we've actually finished fairly early. Wendy, well done, well chuffed. So John's well chuffed, his back's not killing him. So normally we're still going on with ourselves. So what we've achieved tonight is that Wendy has achieved this gravity cake. Okay, she's done it at speed. I think she's done a marvellous job. She's also baked a cake for you as well. Okay, and I've actually decorated a Nifty Nozzle cake using the Blue Dome cake set as well, which is on our website. So what Wendy has used here, she's used the chocolate lime cocoa powders, which is on our website, and the chocolate milkshake flavoured icing sugar to make a buttercream, and the kitchen smells delicious. She's using that. I've used banana milkshake on mine tonight, so it does smell great in here, doesn't it?
Bananas and chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to say is it's 9:15. Wendy and I are going to make ourselves a quick cup of tea, have a clean up. We'll be back for 9:30 where we can sit down and have a chat with you. Now, one of the things, it's the first time I noticed it, a couple of weeks ago when I had Kerry Griffiths here, I put the camera on because obviously Maria goes home, John goes to bed, and it was just me and Kerry here, and I put the camera the other way, and somebody said, why is the spelling back to front? And it's because the camera was on reverse. So I've never known that before. So later, because we're facing the camera to us, it had love backwards. So when the audience was looking at it, the L was going the other way. Have you not noticed that on the video? Well, quite a lot of the followers noticed it. They said, why is it facing the wrong way? So when they look at this later, they're going to see the spelling of this going the wrong way when they watch me and Wendy. The Maltesers. Did you not know that? Cranky, I'm looking at you two as though you've just enlightened you with something. So John's looking at me with doubt. So we'll be back at 9:30. So you know the catchphrase. Go and have a wee and a cup of tea and get back in that settee for 9:30, and we'll be all cleaned up, ready to chat to you then. See you later.
Bye.